We often think of the Ice Age as a distant chapter in Earth's history, a frozen epoch that ended long before our modern civilizations began to rise. However, the reality is far more chilling, because the truth is that we are still living in an ice age today. Geologically speaking, an ice age is defined simply by the presence of permanent ice sheets at the planetary poles. As long as the Arctic and Antarctic remain frozen, the era of ice continues to exert its grip on our world. This long-term freeze actually began roughly 34 million years ago, during a period known as the Eocene to Oligocene transition. The climate of our planet is not a static thing, but a fluctuating cycle of deep freezes and brief thaws known as interglacial periods. We are currently enjoying one of those thaws, but the underlying cold is always there, waiting in the shadows of the geological calendar. This realization changes how we view the history of life on Earth, framing it not as a steady climb toward warmth, but as a struggle to survive in a world that is fundamentally cold. Within this vast timeline, there have been moments of extreme intensity where the environment tested the limits of every living thing. Roughly 30,000 years ago, the planet reached what scientists call the Last Glacial Maximum, the absolute peak of the most recent freeze. During this time, global temperatures plummeted by an average of 6 degrees Celsius, a shift that sounds small but had catastrophic consequences for the landscape. Massive ice sheets, some reaching a staggering thickness of 4 kilometers, crawled across nearly 25% of the Earth's landmass. These frozen giants were so heavy that they pressed down on the crust of the Earth, locking away so much water that sea levels dropped by over 120 meters. The world was unrecognizable, with land bridges emerging where oceans once flowed and forests retreating before the advancing tundra. This was one of the harshest climates in recent history, a brutal gauntlet that reshaped the entire tree of life. For many species, the rapid shift was simply too much to bear, leading to a massive wave of ecological disruption and extinction. It was a time of winners and losers, where the rules of the game were rewritten overnight by the encroaching frost. Among the hardest hit were the reptiles, the cold-blooded masters of the previous, warmer eras. During the earlier, balmier parts of the Cenozoic era, reptiles had thrived, growing to immense sizes and dominating vast territories. But as the planet cooled, their physiology became a liability as they lacked the internal furnaces of mammals and birds. The cooling of the Earth stripped them of their range, reduced their body sizes, and sent their survival rates into a downward spiral. Yet in the midst of this reptilian decline, one group stood firm, refusing to yield to the ice. These were the crocodilians, the evolutionary outliers who seemed to be built for a completely different set of rules. Crocodilians are often described as living fossils, but that term does them a disservice by suggesting they are relics of a failed past. In reality, they are masterpieces of biological engineering, having survived multiple mass extinctions, including the one that wiped out the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. They possess a resilience that is almost supernatural, a built-different quality that allowed them to stare down the Ice Age and win. Their success is not the result of a single lucky trait, but a complex stack of evolutionary advantages that make them nearly impossible to kill. The first of these advantages is their masterfully chosen habitat, the aquatic boundary between land and water. Being semi-aquatic provides a crucial buffer against the volatility of a changing climate, because water is a far more stable medium than air. Large bodies of water change temperature much more slowly than the atmosphere, offering a thermal shield against sudden cold snaps or heat waves. By spending much of their time submerged, crocodilians avoided the most extreme environmental swings that devastated land-dwelling creatures. Furthermore, the aquatic ecosystems they inhabit remained relatively stable food sources even when the terrestrial world was in chaos. Fish, crustaceans, and other waterbound prey provided a consistent energy supply while land-based food webs were collapsing. Their ability to remain underwater for extended periods, coupled with low oxygen requirements, allowed them to hide from predators and wait out the worst of the storms. This lifestyle effectively placed them in a different environmental category, insulating them from the harshest realities of the ice. Dietary flexibility is another cornerstone of their survival, as crocodilians are the ultimate generalists of the animal kingdom. They are not dependent on a single prey species or a specific type of environment to find a meal. From tiny insects and snails to massive deer and even rival predators, if it moves and contains protein, a crocodilian can eat it. The American alligator, for example, is famous for its ability to shift its diet based on whatever is available in its immediate surroundings. This opportunism meant that while specialized hunters starved when their specific prey went extinct, the crocodilian simply moved on to the next available option. To support this flexible diet, nature equipped them with an overpowered combat kit that remains unrivaled in the modern world. They possess the strongest bite force of any living animal, a crushing pressure that can shatter bone and armor alike with terrifying ease. Their signature move, the death roll, allows them to dismember large prey with mechanical efficiency, utilizing their entire body weight as a weapon. They are not just hunters, they are living tanks, covered in a hide of thick scales and bony plates called osteoderms. This natural armor makes them incredibly difficult to injure, let alone kill, providing a level of defense that few other animals can penetrate. They occupy a unique space in the food chain where they are almost entirely free from the threat of predation once they reach maturity. This combination of ultimate offense and impenetrable defense created a biological safety net. It allowed them to maintain their dominance in their chosen niches, regardless of how many other species were disappearing around them.
Interesting. So the blue signifies cooler surface temps.
Geography also played a vital role in their story, as they were clever enough, or perhaps lucky enough, to occupy the right real estate. While the ice sheets were claiming the northern and southern latitudes, the tropics and subtropics remained relatively ice-free. These regions acted as refugia, pockets of warmth where the ancient rhythms of life could continue mostly uninterrupted. The modern distribution of crocodiles and alligators closely mirrors these ancient warm zones, showing that they held their ground where the sun still had power. While they did experience some range contraction as the world cooled, they never faced the total collapse that met so many of their reptilian cousins. They were essentially the gatekeepers of the warm world, waiting for the ice to retreat so they could once again expand their influence. But even when the cold did manage to reach them, they had a suite of physiological tricks up their sleeves to endure the short-term shocks. They utilize a process called brumation, which is the reptilian equivalent of hibernation, allowing them to enter a state of suspended animation. During these periods, they might bury themselves in mud for insulation or utilize deep-water channels where the temperature remains constant. Some species, like the American alligator, have even been observed snorkeling through solid ice, keeping their snouts above the frozen surface to breathe while their bodies remain encased in the water below. They are capable of adjusting their behavior with remarkable precision, basking in the sun when possible or retreating to the depths when the air becomes too sharp. This behavioral plasticity is the mark of a survivor that refuses to be a victim of its circumstances. Perhaps their most impressive feat, however, is their extreme energy efficiency, a metabolic mastery that puts mammals to shame. A large crocodilian can survive for months, and in some cases over a year, without a single meal. Their metabolism is incredibly slow, and their digestion is so efficient that they waste almost no energy in the processing of their food. When a large kill is finally made, they can gorge themselves on massive amounts of meat, storing the excess as fat for the lean times ahead.
From the ashes of extinction, a new world emerges. Downstream, we find the descendants of the
Their
survivors.
ambush hunting strategy further minimizes energy expenditure, as they spend the vast majority of their lives simply waiting. While a lion or a wolf must constantly burn calories to hunt and maintain its body temperature, a crocodilian can simply exist. In a world where resources are scarce, the creature that needs the least to survive is often the one that lasts the longest. They are the ultimate practitioners of the less is more philosophy, turning their low energy requirements into a weapon of endurance.
The dawn reveals a landscape teeming with life. Yet, as the world wakes,
Even their internal biology seems designed for a world of hardship, boasting immune systems that are nothing short of miraculous. Their blood is rich in antimicrobial compounds that can neutralize dangerous pathogens, allowing them to survive in stagnant, bacteria-ridden water that would kill other animals. They possess an incredible ability to heal from devastating injuries, with some individuals surviving the loss of limbs or tails without succumbing to infection. This resistance to disease and injury ensures that once they reach adulthood, very little in the natural world can take them down. When we look at the big picture, the reason crocodilians made it through the Ice Age isn't because of one lucky break, but because of a perfect stack of advantages. They had the stable habitat, the flexible diet, the metabolic efficiency, and the combat superiority to face any threat. They chose the best geography and developed the best immune systems, creating a biological fortress that has stood for millions of years. They are not just survivors of the ice. They are the architects of a legacy that spans the history of our planet.
From the spark of life to the dinosaurs of the past, evolution has led us here.
In a world that is constantly shifting, what is the armor you have built for yourself to weather the storms of life? Are you relying on a single source of strength, or are you building a stack of advantages like the crocodilian? We would love to hear your thoughts on this ancient survivor and what its story means to you in the comments below. If you found this exploration of nature's ultimate survivor inspiring, please subscribe to the channel and share this video with others. Your support helps us continue to bring these incredible stories of the natural world to life.